Football with a spring practice kind of recap and preview of the spring game coming up on April 27th with head coach Denny Douds. And coach, obviously no stranger to spring practice. You've been through a lot of them. How does this one compare with the recent Warrior teams?
First of all, spring practice is great. I mean, you get to teach football. Teach football to everybody, and you go out and you start with a stance, and you put the whole system back together, and you build on each day from what the block was laid the day before to be able to do this. Now, for the veterans, they might be filling a little bit of concrete between the bricks. Mm-hmm. For the rookies, they're putting the bricks on top of one another to be able to do this. Our enthusiasm, the idea of how we put the squad together last year, and the kids bought into what we were doing in the off season, and they've carried that right into spring. It's certainly been an exciting time for us right now, and a lot of guys are coming back with a lot of experience, and that's always exciting too, because you're not totally just putting the bricks together. You put a little of that mortar between the bricks.
Like we said, you have had experience doing this. You're going into year number 40 as a head coach, so obviously you have some perspective to draw from. How does the previous season really play into what you're doing this spring? Is there a carryover from the fall?
Yeah, there really is. I mean, last year we had to establish the culture. I mean, with where we were. We're allowed to have 85 guys. That's a Title IX gender equity number. Of that number, 67 of them were pure freshmen or redshirt freshmen. When you have that many people coming from the four winds, one of the things they've done it some other way. So when they get here, they're going to do it the Warrior way. So you have to establish that. And credit goes to our assistant coaches. I mean, they all bought into what we were doing, and therefore they looked at developing the proper behavior of the Warrior way in dealing with that. Kids bought into that. We took some lumps along the way last year. I mean, we got our heads handed to us at Shippensburg and Clarion, and then they realized what was going on and how it was happening. And I thought the Westchester game last year was kind of the turning point. Mm-hmm. And from there on, we were competitive. Even our last ball game with Mercyhurst, I think they were fourth in the country in total defense, and we opened the season, or opened that game, with an 85-yard bomb, and we didn't care where they came from. And we were down by 21 points with 9 minutes to go, a minute and 45 seconds, the game's tied. Our kids were concerned or upset because we lost the game. They were upset not because we lost, because we ran out of time. They thought if we would have had more time, we'd have beat those guys. Mm-hmm. And with that idea and that attitude, that just permeated the whole group into the off-season program. In our off-season program, we made some tremendous gains in strength and speed. And with that now coming back in the spring with those kids who were rookies and really not dry behind the ears last fall, they're coming back with some experience and realize what they can do and what they can do as a group in dealing with that. And that's where we've started spring. Certainly we've had some rookies come out and our walk-ons come out in the spring. But the bulk of the guys have an idea what we're doing and how we're going to go about doing it. And they have worked extremely hard. As I said, it started started last fall and worked into the off season. I mean, give me an example. If you count absences from the 29th of November till the 29th of March, we had 50 guys didn't miss one day.
Yeah.
Okay? If anybody missed, they missed one out of that. And that might have been going home early for a vacation or something like that and got their workout in before we worked out that particular day right there to be able to do that. So that tells you about the attitude that we have right here. And then, the guys with the rookies, with the linemen, they understand a little bit. Wide receivers and certainly the quarterbacks and linebackers and some of those guys in the secondary have it coupled with the veterans that we have. And the veterans and they were the squad leaders in the off season and things we were doing. They're also the leadership council used, and we have meetings and talk about various aspects of the squad and the attitude of the squad and so forth. they've created some great leadership in dealing with that. And so now we come back out, and guys like Bryan Thomson comes out, and Catelli comes back out, and Simcox is with us right there, and Soltes has been with us. Taylor Groff, the kicker, I mean, he's taken a lead in this as well. So it's come from a lot of places, and you know, as you do that, it's pretty exciting to watch those guys take over and watch them grow from the top, as well as bring the bottom up to that level that's needed to be competitive in the PSAC.
You had mentioned the 67 freshmen and sophomores last year who made up the bulk of that team, and you really found a building block on each side, and Matt Soltes, your quarterback, who was a redshirt freshman, the PSAC East Freshman of the Year, and then Bryan Thomson, the PSAC East Defensive Player of the Year, a defensive tackle, as a redshirt sophomore. Nice to have those two guys on either side, and to know that you have Bryan for 2 more years, you have Matt for 3 more years.
It really is, you know, and those guys have stepped in and exerted the leadership, and it hasn't just been one person. I mean, they've certainly led the way, but we've gotten that leadership from a lot of different people that is needed to be able to raise the level of not only the play, the intensity, but the whole idea of, hey, this is what it's going to take to win a championship, and nothing less. And therefore they hold themselves accountable in each other, which is neat. Now, certainly the coaches are going to be there and reinforce some of that stuff. But if it comes from within, that's a pretty strong motive right there.
When you look on offense, you've never been short on playmakers. You do lose the 2 tailbacks in Kendrick Williams and Eric Deary, but Dusty Reed's a 2-time All-Conference wide receiver. Robert Bleiler, John Schnars, guys who have caught a lot of passes for you. What are you looking forward to on the offensive side of the ball when you look into next Saturday?
I'll tell you, explosiveness. I think we have more speed than we've ever had, and it's pretty neat to see. We put 5 wide receivers on there, and the slowest kid runs a 4.5. That's pretty neat to see that kind of opportunity. Plus the linemen we have coming back. One, they're maturing. 2, that, you know, they're starting to feel comfortable picking up the stunts and the blitzes that they see on a day-to-day basis. And you know, our 2 quarterbacks, they certainly have stepped it up in the spring as well.
Yeah. On the defensive side, you have Thompson at tackle, some ends with experience, Catelli, Tarek Haddad, and a couple other guys. The linebacking core, Cody Simcox, safety, Anthony Singler. So you really have some experience at all 3 levels on the defense.
Yeah, we do. And all those guys have stepped up in leadership capacities that you've named. You know, we've had some other guys who are having great springs for us. I think John Noble, defensive tackle, he's a senior, but he's starting to come into his own in our program right now. Tested extremely well, worked hard in the offseason, working hard in spring ball. On Ray Ocasio, the offensive, 6'7", about 300-pounder, you know, on the offensive line, and dealing with that. And Zach Miller, young man from down here at Penn Argyl, he was a redshirt freshman last year. To be able to come out and just have a super spring in dealing with it. So it's good to see some of those guys starting to take a step to be able to play to their talent and abilities.
On special teams in the kicking game, you've traditionally had a very good kicker. Taylor Groff is about as good as a kicker as you've had in the last 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's come, he's worked hard, he's played with the enthusiasm of coming out and working every day to be as good as he possibly can be. And he has a leg that any place over the 50-yard line almost, you could say, hey, do we want to take a shot at it today? And you bet you got a better than 50% chance of him making that right there. And he comes with a great demeanor to be able to kick and kick well for us.
Any one goal that you want to take out of these 15 practices before you guys reconvene in August?
Our one goal is to be able to get better on offense, get better on defense, get better at special teams, get better as individuals. Because if you raise your personal level, now you raise your group level, you raise the team level in dealing with that, and nothing short. Okay, not almost. Be the best you can be, and if we can do that, we're going to have an exciting fall for us around here in the Poconos.
All right, head coach Denny Douds, as the Warriors return 15 starters, including the 2 kicking specialists for next year, and we'll look forward to the spring game on the 27th.
we'll be excited. There's about 140 days before we kick off, so we're well aware of that and what we got to do between now and then. And I think our whole football team is excited about the opportunity, and it'll be challenging too. I mean, we pick up a couple new teams. We have AIC coming into to open up with on a Thursday night. I believe it's the 5th of September at about 6:05 in the stadium. And then we also have Seton Hill, which is a new team in our conference we've never played before. And we travel out to Greensburg to play those guys. So with those two teams, and they've moved Lock Haven to the east now, which they were on our schedule last year anyways. So they'll take the place of where CW Post, or LIU Post now, in dealing with that. And they've now joined the Northeast 10. So with those teams, plus the teams in the east here, it'll be exciting for our guys to line up in Eiler-Martin Stadium. And, hey, let's blow the whistle and kick off, find out how good we are.
Yep, season of change coming up in 2013, so we'll look forward to that. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it. Thanks.